Lesson 5.1 is on rate of change and slope, and we've actually been working with slope the entire last unit. That magic number that we kept talking about, that kept repeating in those tables, that was slope every single time. So you already have an understanding of what slope is. Rate of change, it's the change in the dependent variable, and remember from our last unit, the dependent variable is your y, all over the change in the independent variable, which is your x. It's your y divided by your x. That's going to give you your rate of change. When we use tables, you calculate the change or the difference from one row to the next. You've already been doing this with me, all right? Nothing new here. But in linear functions, what we're going to start to see is that the rate of change will always be the same. It's always that same constant number, and it doesn't matter if you use consecutive rows or non-consecutive rows. All right, one row after another or not. So slope. Slope is your vertical change over your horizontal change. All right? It's your vertical change divided by your horizontal change. What that also means, what it's equal to, you've heard this before. Excuse me. Your rise over run. Rise divided by run. But not everything is going to rise instead of going up, instead of rising. It could fall. All right? So rise and run go together, and so sometimes we use fall and crawl. Right? How many are you falling? How many are you crawling? But it all boils down to it's your y over your x. I just want to point out that it kind of rhymes. Your y's over your x, y's rise. Y's rise, rise, rise. Rise over your x, rise over your run. Now, using graphs. Slope can be calculated from any 2 points. It does not matter which 2 points you pick. They do not need to be next to each other. Alright, so we've got 2 points there, one at -2, -1, and one at 4, 3. The first thing you need to do is you need to count the units of vertical change. How many are you rising up? And then, second step, count the units of the horizontal change. How many units are you running over? Alright, it's up and over. It is a complete vertical line and a complete horizontal line from one point to the next. Rise over run. And then keep the slope in fraction form. If it doesn't divide out into a whole number, keep it as a fraction. Do not put it as a decimal point. You're making more work for yourself if you do that. Leave it as a fraction. I don't care if it's an improper fraction. An improper fraction is not a wrong fraction. Alright, so keep the slope in fraction form unless you can make it a whole number. So now the slope formula. This same thing, rise over run, or y's over our x's. This is when we are finding the slope between 2 points. Okay? So it's your y2 minus y1 all over, and that means divided by, x2 minus x1. And you just got to keep in mind where x2 minus x1 is not 0, because anything divided by 0 doesn't work. So now what that means to use those points, x1, y1 is the first coordinate point you choose. And then x2, y2 is the second coordinate point you choose. So all we're going to do is substitute the correct values into the formula and simplify. I'm not going to do an example with you here today. I want to do an example with you tomorrow. Okay? I will see you then. Bye.